Hey friends, it's Just the Gems. I'm Brandon, and I think I'm getting obsessed with Honkai Star Rail. We're in uncharted territory here, folks. I like tight and tidy JRPGs. Give me a good 30 or 40 hour story-heavy experience and let me go touch grass. I can't be spending all hours of the day and night on a game that, theoretically, could be never ending. That's one of the major reasons I've avoided Final Fantasy XIV. No shade at all to the Final Fantasy XIV crowd. I count many of them among my good friends. But a game, even a Final Fantasy game, that has no intention of ever ending is not what I want to do. And isn't that exactly what this game is set up to be? So why am I getting obsessed with Honkai Star Rail? I think it boils down to a few factors. I make no excuses, I offer no apologies. I'm a big dumb weeb, and that's a fact. I didn't mean to become a big dumb weeb, but it happened. Give me goofy anime tropes, and I'm there. Like front row, popcorn in my lap, I'm ready for it. Honkai Star Rail is anime the JRPG. We've got an amnesiac protagonist. I named mine Pris, but you can name yours whatever you want. I'm not your dad. We've got the stoic and strong guardsman who comes across as very no-nonsense by the name of Dan Hung. We've got the hyper-cutesy anime girl who loves rainbows and bunny rabbits and whose name is March 7th, which for some reason I freaking love. And beyond just the archetypical characters, we have our hero possessed by some mysterious power that they don't know how to control and which could spell doom for the universe. Or maybe, just maybe, save it. Brandon, you're saying aloud to your monitor right now so that our voices are overlapping, even now at this moment. But you're saying, Brandon, this sounds so cliched. Aren't you a man of culture and taste? Why would you be into this schleck? First of all, have you seen this channel? Culture and taste? Get out of here. But please like and subscribe first. It helps a ton. Seriously, we're creeping towards 1,000, and I've never had 1,000 of anything. So a subscription would mean a lot. Please and thank you. Secondly, cliches aside, this game is beautiful as all heck. Which brings me to... That's a Polish, not Polish. This was made in China, not Poland. I don't want to confuse anybody. I'm sure the Polish people make fine games too, but we're not talking about that today. This game is polished. You don't often see games like this that have production values this high. This feels like something that would be published by a sort of a niche publisher over here in the States, but it looks like something from Square Enix or Capcom or even Nintendo. Character designs are super detailed and colorful. Animations almost never feel canned. Everything just feels very catered to the scene that it's in. I mean, that's not to say there aren't reused assets, of course there are, but the cutscenes and battles are so frenetic and wild that it's hard to think of this as anything but AAA. And I suppose it is. MiHoYo is a giant company by most normal measures, with 5,000 employees, I believe, and billions in assets. Their most popular game, which is Genshin Impact, it's sort of a anime, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, action RPG sort of deal. Well, that's been downloaded over 126 million times. Oh, that's right, I said downloaded, not bought. Because these games, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, are free. Yes, that means it uses the dreaded free-to-play model. More on that later. But for a game that looks and feels this good to play, to be free, it feels like I committed a crime. Like I stole this somehow. I'm not a pirate, but darn it, Honkai makes me feel like one. Sailing the seven seas, looting, pillaging. Huh. Actually, I think maybe I kind of like it. What do I do with these new dark urges? I'll figure something out. Anyway, this is proof that anime-style games can look fantastic. And JRPGs in general can be colorful and bright and fun. Not everything has to be brown and gray and medieval to be a AAA JRPG. No shade to the brown and gray fans. I'm also buying Final Fantasy XVI. But that's an action game, and this decidedly is not. Which leads me to... This isn't just a weeby JRPG. It's not just a very pretty weeby JRPG. This is a very pretty, very weeby, very turn-based JRPG. This does not happen very much anymore. Sure, you've got Persona, you've got Dragon Quest, you've got... Wait, is that it? Let me know down in the comments if you can think of any other super high-budget AAA JRPGs that are turn-based. If there are more, I am completely blanking. Don't get me wrong, there are a ton of great turn-based JRPGs that are still coming out on the regular. You know, Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default, and a bunch of others. These are like lower budget games though, and while they are definitely super well made, they're AA at best. But for a company to invest this level of polish in a game, unless it's from a very well-established franchise, they're going to typically want a gameplay system that's more friendly to the masses. Gotta maximize profits. So the fact that I get a brand new, high-quality, turn-based JRPG out of the blue, and for free, I mean, that is just next-level cool. Now, having raved about the turn-basedness of this turn-based game, how does it actually play? Fairly excellent, as a matter of fact. Characters all have inherent attack types: physical, ice, fire, you know the routine. Enemies have weaknesses that correspond to those types. Attacking an enemy's weakness will decrease their break bar. When that goes down, the enemy drops and you can do even more damage to their health than normal. Normal attacks build up a shared stock of special skill points that can then be used by any character to perform their skill attacks. Constantly attacking also builds up your character's ultimate attacks, which you can use at any point in the battle, interrupting the flow with your chosen character to launch a super powerful attack. This last bit was lifted directly out of the Trails series, by the way, and actually, this makes sense because one of the game's producers is a huge and very vocal Trails fan, which warms my freaking heart. And you should go and do likewise. Become a Trails fan. Today. Anyway, the battles themselves are fast and flashy and fun. Nothing in there is wholly original, but all the parts and pieces really work well together. But they're not all there is to the game. Oh no. I'm only a short ways in, so I can say there are still a lot of mysteries. You are in a world where not only is there an intergalactic train that runs the length and breadth of the universe, but also an ancient group of super beings called Eons. These seem to be like sort of unknowable gods in the Lovecraftian sense, but with fewer face tentacles, so they're not quite as unpleasant to look at. Anyway, this is a world that seems to be rich with lore, and the cool thing about the game is it drops you right into the middle of everything and doesn't spend much time up front drip feeding you information. You can find journals and other pieces of writing around the world that flesh things out more, or you can just barrel ahead knowing as little as your player character does. The player character herself is interesting. Like I said, I named mine Pris, and she's a nice young gal with gray hair. Most of the time, she's a silent protagonist, which, yes, I normally hate, but you can provide answers to other characters' questions and conversations. And for some reason, and I don't fully understand this, she is voiced in the cutscenes. So that's a little strange to me. Like, I don't know, pick a lane, guys, silent or not. And if she's not silent, then let her voice her lines in normal dialogue. I mean, I can still pick them if you want, I guess. But like, she should then say them, so the conversation sounds like a conversation. Game developers need to learn this soon. Hold on a second, hold on. This is starting to sound like the negative part. I'm not at the negative part yet. Anyway, story good, story interesting. Just enough intrigue to keep me hooked. Now, is this going to fall prey to the never-ending story problem that I mentioned earlier in the video? Maybe? I probably won't stick with this for years and years to come, but I've been wrong before, so I guess we'll see. If I could imagine any game hooking me for that length of time, I think it probably would be a game like this. Anywho, those are all some super positive things to say about this free Chinese JRPG. What are we calling these? CRPGs? CJRPGs? A role-playing game in the style of Japanese role-playing games, designed in China. There we go. Nice and concise. But there's got to be something bad in here too, right? Oh yes. Yes, there is. Let's rip this band-aid right off. This is a super free-to-play game, and I don't mean that in the literal sense, I mean that in the F2P sense. There is gambling to acquire characters, there are endless daily side quests to complete in order to earn a plethora of weird items, the uses for which will not be obvious to you either immediately or even hours of play later. There are menus upon menus with individual skills that can be leveled up independently of their character, skill trees that can only be unlocked after reaching a certain level of character progression that comes about due to a completely separate method of experience gathering. Look, there's too much in here. Genshin Impact suffers from the same issue, by the way. I'm sure the Genshin Impact stans have already started typing their comments about how all that complicated stuff in Genshin Impact is easy, actually, and I'm just stupid for not understanding it, which, fair enough. I am notably stupid. But if you're stupid like me, then you might find all of that extremely confusing. There are so many menu options that you will feel overwhelmed, particularly if you're coming into this with no Genshin Impact experience. All I can say is push through. You do not need to spend money to gain characters. It might make it easier, you might really enjoy that character you're hoping to get, but it's not a necessity. My policy is, if I'm enjoying a free-to-play game quite a lot, I'll buy something. I think I spent a few bucks on Genshin. I figure it's the least I can do. And I'll probably end up doing the same here. So, Honkai Star Rail will be occupying my time for the foreseeable future. I'm not even mad about it. One thing though, MiHoYo, if you're watching, somehow, can you add controller support to the mobile versions? Pretty please? Thank you. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you're not subscribed, would you mind doing me a favor, hitting that subscribe button for me? I would super appreciate it. Thank you so much. Likes help a ton as well. They sort of let YouTube know that the stuff I make isn't terrible and that, maybe they should recommend it to other people who might like it. What are your thoughts on Honkai Star Rail? What about free-to-play games in general? Let me know down in the comments. Anyway, until next time. Bye.